What is up, everybody? Thanks for checking out today's video. Today we're going to be hitting up this pond, and I think this is probably like a 10-acre pond, but we haven't been doing a lot of pond fishing lately. We've been doing like strictly river fishing because I love those big river smallies. But we're going to go out today. We're going to show you how to get on bass if you're looking to go fish a pond or something. And I'm going to show you some tips and tricks on how I get on those bass when we're doing something like this. All right, guys, I'm gonna show you what we're working with right now. So to get out here on this pond and really work the largemouth bass, because that is the only type of bass that we have in this pond, and these things are gonna react quite a bit different to different bait presentations and stuff than the smallmouth do. So we're gonna show you today what we're working with. Look at this. We got some worms and more worms. So we've got Senkos over here. We're gonna be rigging the Senkos a couple different ways. So normal Texas rig, and we're going to be using probably a bullet weight, and I like to stick around anywhere from 1/8 ounce to 1/4 ounce on ponds and stuff like this. Don't really want anything too heavy because I don't really need to get it down to the bottom too fast. And other than that, just a stick bait of your choice, Senkos, and the green pumpkin is always my favorite. It doesn't matter if I'm fishing a river or a pond, a green pumpkin is always going to work. And today the water clarity isn't too bad, and it's pretty normal. It's not too dingy, it's not too clear, so green pumpkin's going to work. And that's probably the only color we're going to throw. We may go up to the one that has the chartreuse tail, and it's also green pumpkin right here. And these are also really great during, you know, the early summer and springtime, so we might give that a shot as well. Other than that, we're using, like I said, the bullet weights and extra wide gap hooks. These EWG hooks here are going to give you the best hookup ratio. We got all kinds of stuff just mangled up here. These right here are bullet weight stops. Sometimes I use those, don't always. They usually they become more of a pain than they're worth. These EWG hooks, I usually, that mosquito's trying to tear my ear off. These EWG hooks, I usually stick around a 4/0. It's kind of in the middle of 3 and 5/0, and they work good for me. We may use a Wacky rig at some point today, so we'll show you how to do that if you've never done Wacky rig. I don't really use it that much because Texas rig usually gets me where I need to. Okay, and then as far as the curly tail worms go, we got a couple of those purple, and then we got these brown ones made by Berkeley, and we may be throwing some of these trick worms as well. But out here on ponds, I found that soft plastics in general really shine. I don't really throw a lot of crankbaits because they just get hung up like crazy, and it's kind of hard to get them into places that I need to. And I just find that I can pitch a Texas rig in just so easy and really pull out the bass. It's just as easy as that. We also have some crawls that we're going to use this morning. And guys, we're going to run them on the same rig that we do the weighted Texas rig with that bullet weight, but just all kinds of different crawls. And depending on the water clarity, if it's a dark water, I'm going to go ahead and use a black and blue or just a really dark color. Even this green pumpkin will work because you see how dark that is. That's going to contrast in the water. And if it's a little bit more clear, we can go up to something like this. And this would probably even work in dirty water too. But any type of soft plastic is going to be perfect for fishing around a pond. Okay, as far as rods go, we're just using all spinning rods today, medium power, fast action all the way around here, and we're just gonna keep it pretty simple. And honestly, we're moving to Albuquerque very soon. I got all my bait casters packed up and ready to go, so spinning rod is the only thing we're gonna work with today. But fishing off a kayak, I find it's a little bit easier to use a spinning rod than anything else too. All right, guys, let's hit the water. Let's get on these bass. All right, guys, we have launched, and I think we're gonna start out with probably a Senko, and then we'll move into fishing probably the Wacky rig or something like that. Actually, we're gonna throw out this trick worm first. See if anything's ready to bite this thing. All right, guys, one of the very first tips of actually locating the bass is going to be looking at your pond directly and seeing how much cover. And when I say cover, that's like bushes like this. It's submerged trees. It's laydowns like logs and stuff in the water, or rocks or anything like that. And that's what we're looking to fish around. Bass love to ambush prey around stuff like that. So any place that they can hide behind and ambush those prey, that's what we're going to be looking for. So that's what we're going to be casting around. The next tip is going to be not getting too close to the actual bank line itself. So if we're looking to fish this bank line over here, you know, from a kayak or a boat, we don't want to scare the fish away before we even try to fish for them. We really want to stay back and give the bass, you know, some time to actually react to the bait before they actually see us. So you're going to be making longer casts, and that's going to minimize them actually seeing you or potentially feeling the boat actually coming through the water, because bass do get kind of skittish. Guys, a next tip is actually selecting the bait for the type of water that you're fishing. And in this case, from the boat ramp, I thought it was a little bit more clear than this, but this is actually really, really muddy water. So what we're going to be doing is fishing a dark colored bait. That way it can contrast in the water a little bit better, and the fish are able to actually see the bait. So green pumpkin will work, as well as black or anything like that, a brownish color bait. Those will work great for this. Okay, the next tip is going to be how to actually fish this Texas rig that we're going to be using, and the Wacky rig. You can fish them pretty much the same, but there are some differences. But first, the Texas rig here, it's super easy to fish. So all I'm doing, I'm casting it out, I'm letting it sink to the bottom, and all I'm doing is just dragging it across the bottom. And all I have to do that is pretty much raise the rod tip up, and then I'm reeling back down. Raise the rod tip up, reel the slack back down, and all that's doing is dragging that worm across the bottom. And most of that plastic is going to be floating, and that bullet weight's going to be keeping the nose of that bait down on the bottom of the pond. Very simple, and you can vary the retrieves depending on kind of how the fish are reacting to those baits on whatever given day that you're fishing. You're gonna have to test it out a little bit and see what they're actually going for. Some days they like it fast, sometimes they like it slow. It's all a matter of seeing what they're actually liking that day. And to give the bait just a little bit more action, you can twitch the bait. And all I'm doing is just taking my rod and actually just twitching it like this. And that's gonna give that worm a little bit more action down in the water. I will say the biggest key to getting on bass is actually getting this bait in front of their face. So being able to select parts of the pond that are more likely to hold bass than others is going to be key. Picking out areas around the pond that are different is going to be a big key. That was a turtle that just came up. So anytime you see a submerged bush, or in this case, pretty much the whole pond has submerged bushes, there's not going to be bass on every single bush. So you're just going to have to figure out what may be the best, and also pick out an area of the pond that has the most life in it. If you're going out on a pond and you see that there's a lot of bait fish on one part of it, there's a good chance that there's going to be a lot of bass around that part of the pond, because those bass are going to gravitate to where their food sources are. There we go. Got us the first one. He can stop jumping here. All right, got us a little largie. Look at that dude. Look at that, beautiful largie. Man, you got some growing to do, buddy. But hey, he choked it. All right, let's get this dude back in the water. off. I knew something was over there. Just the way the bushes were acting, something just smashed something on top of the surface over there. Well, that's a good sign. They're hitting this worm. And I chose a little bit darker color this morning just because the water is a little dirty. So this will contrast very well with the water. And also the bullet weight, you know, like I said in the intro, I really don't want it sinking down too fast, because a lot of times the fish will hit it on the fall. And another thing I use is this braided line. If you've watched the channel for any amount of time, you know I use braid on all of my spinning gear. And the reason for that is I can watch the line. And I don't know if you can tell from the camera, but the line, the braided line at least, is just sitting on the surface. And all I have to do is watch that line, and if something hits it, I can tell by the way that line reacts. All right, we got us a fish. It's running right at me though. Ah, he got off. He wasn't nothing big though. I was kind of playing with him more than anything. I saw he wasn't that big. Yeah. He kind of hit it and I didn't even know it, because he started swimming right at me. Yeah, he was about the same size as that last one. He's pretty small. All right, so it looks very active over here. A lot of bait fish jumping on the surface, a lot of minnows. So hopefully we can get on them on this side. And usually a pond will have a side that's more active than the other a lot of times. So usually that's what you're gonna look for, is different sign like that. That indicates that there's more life on one side than the other. Look for those minnows, the bait fish, all that. If you see a lot of bluegill, they are going to be near their food source. All right, we're going to switch over to a weightless Senko. We may fish it Wacky rig style first. We got the same hook. Actually, I think this might be a 3/0, but we have it rigged up Wacky rig style, and I do have one O-ring on there just to kind of keep it on there a little bit longer. That something is on that bank line over there still, just having a time. There we go. All right, this fish fighting good. He's like, I can't even get out of here. All right, there it is. Beautiful little largemouth. He wanted the old Wacky rig though. All right, bud. Let's get you back in the water. He off. Oh my God. There we go. We got us a pretty decent one right here. Didn't even have time to get the net on this one. Oh yeah, this one's a fighter. That one came out and just smacked it. I was about to pull that Wacky rig over this branch right here, and this thing just crushed it. On the old Wacky rig. That beautiful largie. All right, this guy just hit it going up over that log. And I didn't know for sure if he got it, all of it on that first hit. So he came back for the second time and got it. Beautiful largemouth though. All right, let's get this dude back in the water. Oh man, he wanted to do some more flips, I think. There's a bass back over there where we thought that one was tucked in. Still over there smashing stuff on that bank line. And I'm talking, he is just going full at it. Oh, we got it. Oh. There we go. That's another one. That's a little chunkier. Yeah, still a little dude though. One of the old Wacky rig. So we switched over to the Wacky rig, and man, we're just getting a bunch more now. You got something stuck in the back of his throat. I think it's a crawfish. He had a crawfish claw stuck in the back of his throat there. All right, let's get this dude back. Guys, that fish hit it the first time, and I missed the hook set. And then I was kind of letting it sit again, and he hit it again. And then it gave me another opportunity to get a hook set in on it. So that was cool. We still haven't found Big Mama yet. I feel like she's just waiting though. There we go. Man, this one is fighting good. Not that big though. And they are just all along this bank line. Whoop. Well, we got the Wacky rig back. We don't even have to fix it now. All right, another beautiful largemouth. He got some hair in his mouth. I don't know what he's been eating on. Somebody needed a hair net though. Look at that. It's weird. All right, beautiful largie. Wind's picking back up a little bit. All right, let's see if we can just hammer this bank line a little bit. Oh, I just seen the bass. It was literally just right over there. It came up to the water, came up to the top. Oh, come on, hit it, smash it. I don't know how big it is, but it's at least the size of the ones we've been catching today. He's just playing around in here. There we go, we got it. I think it's just a little one too, yep. Yeah, just a little one, but hey, he kept smashing the surface. So we kept trying for it. All right, another little one. Come on, I know there's bigger ones in here than this, I think. All right, guys, we got the kayak loaded back up, and I know we didn't catch a lot of fish today, and we had about an hour and a half, I would say, is what I spent out there. You know me, I like to have a lot of fish action, and we just weren't getting a lot of that, and I think it's because the water was super murky this morning. And when we first started out, it wasn't really that bright, and I couldn't really see how muddy it was, but it ended up being pretty daggone muddy. But in the end, we got on some bass, and hopefully it gave you a little bit of an idea on how to fish those Senkos, those Wacky rigs, and just overall Texas rig out on a pond. And I'm telling you, if you're not fishing a Texas rig on a pond, you're missing out, because that is the simplest way, in my opinion, to get on those bass. And if you got kids that want to go out and fish, get them a Texas rig rigged up. Go out there and catch some bass. And I guarantee you, one of your kids is going to catch their first bass if they haven't caught one before. All right, guys, if you like this kind of content, please hit that like button. Also, we'd love to have you subscribe to the channel. And we just passed 3,000 subscribers. Awesome, awesome job on your all's part for supporting the channel. And I do thank you all for doing that. And guys, I'll catch you in those next videos.